Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ProChoiceOH. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Randi.
I'm Jaime.
I'm Gabe, and I want to take us back on a trip.
Okay.
Don't go backwards. I want to be over with this shit.
Yes, forward always. I just started watching Luke Cage, so.
Is that good?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've heard everybody say that it's good.
It's an awesome show, and the guy, one of the characters, he's always saying, always forward, forward, always.
Okay, well, I'm going to check it out, but right now
We're gonna go
Yes.
backwards.
we're going to go backwards.
Okay.
So I almost feel like we should do the Wayne's World thing where they go diddle, diddle, diddle.
Special effects.
Yes. Back to August 2015. The
So
first
long
debate.
ago.
Yeah, I know. It feels like a decade ago.
Yes.
When Donald Trump was still a joke and not the Republican nominee.
Right.
Oh, he's still a joke now. Oh.
Scary, dangerous joke.
I really, 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 really wanted to just be an episode of Punked, but
No.
I know, right?
yeah.
Well, this is all a reality show. He's not going to win. He'll have his Trump TV.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Yes.
So take us back, Gabe.
Yes.
August 6, 2015. The very first debate, not the
Mhm.
Hillary versus Trump debate, the GOP debate where they had like 28 people up on
Gladiator
stage.
ring.
It was like all 54 of them lined up
Yes.
to vie for the Republican nomination. The very first question was from Brett Baier from Fox News. It was a Fox News debate.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how much actual good information we got out of this Fox News debate.
Yes.
The first question, someone on stage who is unwilling to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person. So they were being asked to pledge their support for whoever runs, even if it's Donald Trump.
Yes.
And
But I think actually, if I'm remembering it right, it was more, will Donald Trump give up and endorse somebody? I think Donald was the main focus of that.
that's right, because Trump was the only one who wouldn't take the pledge.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So that was actually aimed at Trump at that point, not
Yes.
at all the other guys.
Yes. It was, are you going to support whoever this is, even if one of you happens to be a billionaire who could finance your own independent campaign?
Yes.
That was the angle that they were going for. But
Yeah.
really, it's turned out that these guys would have to pledge to support Trump no matter what he's done.
Yeah. And they have.
They might have wanted to do a little
did.
more Oppo research before they signed on to that shit.
Exactly. Seriously.
They all raised their hands
Yes.
and said that they would support whoever the nominee was. 2 questions later. The next question was actually to Ben Carson, and I think it had to do with brain surgery. So Lord only knows. But the first question for Megyn Kelly was to Donald Trump, and she said that you've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. And Trump's response to that was only Rosie ODonnell.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He had said, it wasn't all like, no, I never said those things. No, that's
Yeah.
not true, which is what he probably would say today because everything's wrong, wrong, wrong.
Right.
Yes.
So she pointed out all of these things, exposing Trump's record on women, comments that he'd made. He tried to deny that it was anybody other than Rosie. She
Yeah.
corrected him immediately and
Mhm.
said,
Yeah.
no, this wasn't just Rosie. This has been other women.
Yeah. And one of the things she said, it wasn't just about, the pigs and slobs. It wasn't just about the looks. One of the things she mentioned in the comments was that he said to a contestant, it would be a pretty picture to see you on your knees. So even in that far back, we're talking about him, sexually assaulting women, really inappropriate things.
You said that I don't know if you can see my screen here. You said that almost verbatim. You want You did. It was good.
Yes.
The quote from Megyn Kelly was, "You once told a contestant on Celebrity Apprentice it would be a pretty picture to see her on her knees."
Mm-hmm.
She continued, does that sound to you like the temperament of a man we should elect as president? And how will you answer the charge from Hillary Clinton, who was likely to be the Democratic nominee, that you are part of a war on women?
Exactly.
August 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys going to support this dude? And here's how terrible he is. It was two of the very first, it was the first 5 minutes of the first debate.
Yeah.
And they all ignored it, and they all fell in line behind him.
Exactly.
And even later that night on stage, John Kasich, who everyone is holding up as being like the anti-Trump, the guy who would, stood up to Trump, he asked Donald Trump for cash during the debate on the stage. We talked about it on this podcast.
Yes.
That was when he was still relevant too.
True. Well, I'm sure he thought, like all the others, that Donald Trump was going to go away.
Well, he didn't.
Yeah.
But they were warned about this in the first 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it's disgusting that we're here because of a good part of the Republican Party failing to grow a spine.
Yeah.
Well, and a Republican Party that grew a base that is this radically ridiculous.
Right.
Yes.
You know,
it's
you
their
can
own fault.
Yeah, I mean, they keep trying to say that they're running, this isn't the Republican Party and all the leaders are trying to distance themselves from Trump and everything. But every poll that I see, the vast majority of the people who were with Trump don't care that he's said all these things. Don't care that he's admitted that he sexually assaulted women, although now he's saying he didn't, but there are women saying
But the women are saying yes, he did.
Feels very...
Trump said yes, the women said yes. That's it.
Yeah.
So they grew this base that doesn't care that Donald Trump sexually assaulted women and is horribly awful to Mexicans and Native Americans and every other group of people that isn't white men.
Right. Although
they have a whole other reality and like their whole alt-right and conservative media that they've created. Like it's insane. Like if you watch some of them, you see like some of the stuff they say. It's just like they're in a totally complete suspension of belief. And it's like, it was my belief always that racism and sexism was hateful. But now I see how it is such a cognitive dissonance. It's such a disconnect. It's like literally, I feel like it is a mental disease. People who are that, because you have no connection to reality whatsoever. Like it's sitting here right here in your face and you still cannot comprehend it.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right.
It's not just hateful. It's like literally like I cannot comprehend
the world,
reality or facts or the world. And yeah.
It is kind of amazing that we're getting these crystal clear examples of what systemic racism and what, misogyny that's been passed through the filter of a billionaire's business empire, what these things actually look like. And Jaime, to your point, I think that, this is the voting base that the Republican Party has built, and they did it through, going back, this is like the effects of the Hyde Amendment of, let's treat low-income women like crap and let's remove, their ability to, pay for medical care. This is, I think, an extension of the Todd Aiken. I really feel that, Todd Aiken's comments on rape. Exactly. That was a point where the GOP's treatment of women in the 21st century really came into clear focus. And it's just been continuing to kind of refine itself. And now we've got this like pure, refined hatred that's the core of that Trump campaign.
Well, and they pushed it on like individual pieces of it. But I was talking to somebody yesterday and like, you've got, a low-income Black woman can't have an abortion because then she's committing genocide on the next generation of Black babies because Black women can't
care a lot about Black babies.
Yeah, not at all. So that's the whole run of, the anti-choice community on that front. But then when she has the baby, she is a welfare queen that just wants more money from the government. And they try to, again, it's this cognitive like dissonance of like, no, it's this thing I don't like, or that thing. It's not the black woman I don't like. It's that thing that she did. I'm like, no, actually, because whatever she does, you don't like it. So you don't like the black woman.
Yeah.
That's your problem, right?
Exactly.
There. Right.
I mean, I thought that was so great. You know, one of our famous friends, what is his name? He's always out at the East
Meyer,
Planned Parenthood. Yes. Coach. And he said how a woman can't be president because she can't have the Bible says she can't have authority over a man. And they were like in the comments, he's finally just admitting that he just hates women. Like,
pretty much.
Yeah, that's it.
If you just did a double take, we've got the video. We'll be posting it in the show notes.
Yeah, it's a great video. Yes. He's completely lost it. So
yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move our time machine forward
Slowly
to much more recently. This weekend, this past weekend, I was.
That's right.
You should just stay there because it's a much better place than the real world. Let me just tell you.
I was on a camping trip. Literally had no internet, no phone, no nothing.
You're lucky.
Deep in woods outside Portsmouth, Ohio. So I mean, this is almost Appalachia. And
it is Appalachia.
And we were coming back Sunday afternoon from our camping trip. And I had my phone set on the airplane mode so that it wouldn't kill the battery searching for a cell signal. And I didn't even realize it until we got home into Columbus. And then I kicked on my phone and suddenly my email inbox went and filled up. And the first email I saw was one from Jaime saying, here's the list of all of the Republican endorsements for Trump. And it's official now that Portman has withdrawn his support. And I was like, what the hell did I miss?
Nothing at all. No big news happened at all.
So very funny. So what did happen? Tell me how it went.
So pretty much right after you left and got into the woods, was released from 2005 with Billy Bush, who has now finally been fired from the Today Show. Like, only took 5 days. And Trump, as they were waiting to have a guest appearance on Days of Our Lives.
I used to love that show. I watched it with my sister all the time.
Apparently it had craziness on there.
Yeah, apparently.
Yes.
So, and it was Trump talking about how because he was a celebrity, he doesn't need consent. So he just, when he sees a pretty woman, he just grabs her and kisses her. And when you're famous, you can do whatever you want. I can just grab her by the pussy.
Yes.
It's a lovely quote right there.
Yes.
So, you know, the dogs and pigs and disgusting people, you know, quote is actually much more mild than what he usually says about women, I guess.
Yeah.
So he's now said, well, that's just locker room talk. Actually, maybe we should.
Didn't look like a locker room.
No, it did not look like a locker room, and maybe we should give that's what she said to. We're gonna give maybe 2 this week because LeBron James might deserve it with a that's not locker room talk, that's trash talk. Right. That doesn't happen in my locker room. We don't disrespect women like that in my locker room. So thank you, LeBron, for
which is ironic because the Republican National Convention was in LeBron's home basketball arena. They were in LeBron's locker room.
Yes, they were. And Donald Trump probably said to him much more worse shit than happens than usual in their locker room.
Yeah.
So that happened, and you know, initially a couple people fell off. McCain, I think, was one of the very first ones. Kasich did finally release his. I always said that I wasn't going to support Trump. Now I'm officially not voting for him either, which we all knew was coming. Portman initially just sent out a response of these are deplorable, awful comments, but I'm still sticking with him. And
my favorite social media post that we've been doing quite regularly is every single time one of these Trump things pop up where it's Trump saying something disgusting. We've been posting on our Facebook page. We'll share whatever it is and add our comment at the top of, this is your regular reminder that Rob Portman has endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Yes.
There have been a bunch of these.
Yes.
And there have been many occasions for Rob Portman to have rescinded this endorsement, which he shouldn't have made in the first place because he was warned during the first debate how bad Donald Trump was.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. And frankly, you know, I've seen a lot of this discussion, and it's, you know, because when I first heard that on Friday afternoon, with everything else that was going on in the world, I was like, oh, there he goes again. You know, I didn't think it was going to be any different than any of the other times because he said some really god-awful things before and nobody gives a shit.
Nobody gives a shit. And you know what? They just prove that they don't give a shit about anyone else. They say stuff about Mexicans. They say stuff about Muslims. He says stuff about Black people. But I mean, who gives a fuck because they don't vote for us anyway. But we need white women to vote for us. So now that he said this shit, now we're going to have to rescind our endorsements. And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It had to be a married white woman that he was talking about before the Republicans started jumping ship.
There's another layer here, which I'm not saying is more important or less important than the married white woman. That's something significant. The demographic that I think that Trump has disparaged throughout this entire campaign, that I think it's also important to recognize, is he's constantly berated reporters.
Yes.
He's treated reporters like scum this entire campaign. And they were making dirty comments about Nancy O'Donnell, it turns out, on the bus, and that was there getting off the bus. But a lot of this is how he's treated reporters. Katie Tur at NBC has taken particular grief from him. And so I think if there's any expectation that they would buy the, oh, well, it's just locker room talk, the reporters are like, no, you've treated us like shit. And so we're not going to take a pass on your comments to these people because we know how it feels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, it's been so constant. But really what's interesting about the people who have unendorsed and haven't unendorsed too is you can look at their future aspirations.
Right.
Portman needs independence. Portman needs those married white women to vote for him for Senate right now.
Yeah, exactly.
He's on the ballot right now. So he, of course, did the political calculation after he said, oh, those are awful, but I'm still endorsing him, and went, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And rescinded his endorsement. A pure political move. I mean, if he really thought those comments were completely deplorable like they are, he would have unendorsed right then and there, like McCain, like so many other people did.
Yeah.
Kelly Ayotte was another one who did immediately as well. But he did the political calculation and thought, oh, crap, I need these married white ladies, so I need to unendorse. And he politically unendorsed later on, saying that he still understood and respected people who were supporting Trump, but I am no longer supporting Trump. So he still respects everybody who still endorses and thinks Donald Trump, the rapist, is fabulous. But now he's not going to endorse him. But then you look at the rest of the field. So, yes, we've got this election, but as soon as this election ends, the 2018 Ohio gubernatorial race will begin. Actually, it's kind of already begun in a lot of ways, which just makes my skin crawl. But we know that John Husted, current Secretary of State, wants to be governor. We know Mike DeWine, current Attorney General, the one that did the ridiculous press conference on Planned Parenthood, wants to be governor. And we know our Lieutenant Governor, Mary Taylor, I was forgetting her last name for a second, wants to be governor. And so you can really see the disconnect here because Husted, Taylor, and DeWine all need the Republican primary base in 2018 to vote for them. So although I don't think Husted has even said a word about it, I haven't seen anything out of Mary Taylor either. DeWine, who has basically made his entire career as Attorney General about helping rape victims in Ohio. He supposedly is making it better for testing. He's given more money to rape crisis centers. Like he has centered his entire legacy at the Attorney General's office helping rape victim, put out 3 tweets. It was part 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, saying these comments are awful, deplorable. We'll have to see if his apology is real, but never unendorsing him. So you say you care about these rape victims over here by supporting services and those kinds of things, but you don't unendorse a candidate because he's looking at the political calculation and he needs the Republican base. And as much as the leadership and Paul Ryan, all those folks want to say this isn't the Republican Party, this is the Republican Party.
I mean, where are they going? What are they doing with this base anyway? They can't win a general election. They can barely win a statewide election in some states, maybe. But that'll soon change. why? I mean, I don't even understand the political calculation of it, because it's a wrong calculation, because he's a loser and no one is voting for him. Like, he's down 10 points now.
Yeah.
I don't, and in the future, again, old white men are dying out. Like, they're not going to win you anything. Like,
you're a dying breed, Gabe.
yes.
Oh, it feels that way
old yet.
sometimes.
But I don't understand, like, what do they think this is going with them in the future as a future party, and they can't get anyone?
Well, they're definitely struggling, and this is
mean,
you're right. This is a political calculation, and DeWine has made the same has done the same math that Mike Pence did.
Yeah,
he's criticizing his running mate, but not leaving the ticket. I'm like,
it's crazy.
Your entire career as a politician. I mean, I am opposed to Mike Pence, but I recognize that he has stood by the religious right, and so he's trying to, cement his place as a leader amongst the religious right by standing by a guy who's a serial sexual harasser.
Yes,
and now we know sexual assailant.
Yes. They're really I saw a really interesting segment about evangelicals. I don't know what show it was, but it was two evangelicals. It was two older white men, and one was still trying to stay by Trump and saying, I believe in forgiveness, so we need to forgive Trump. And the other guy had started a petition, basically with evangelicals denouncing Trump and saying, we don't need to support this guy. I think a lot of evangelical papers have come out to say they don't, they have later come out and say they don't support him, even though some others still. But he was just making the point that when you say evangelicals, you can't just say that as a broad scape, because yes, again, older white evangelicals are supporting him, but not evangelicals of color and not young ones. So again, where are you going with this coalition that you have? You don't have one. Right. I don't even understand. Again, like, it feels like they don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to win future elections, because you again proving that you are alienating everyone. Right. I don't get it.
They have a plan though. It's to repeal the 19th Amendment. Have you heard that one?
Oh, yes. That plan. If only men could vote. That is the problem right there.
If only men could vote.
Yes, if only men could vote. Yes.
Yeah, so, I can't believe people are actually putting that out.
I saw women putting that out there. I'd be willing to give up my right to vote so Donald Trump could be president.
What is, again, the cognitive...
And also, like, the biggest thing that's annoyed the shit out of me, but beyond like taking away women's right to vote, is that like men gave women the right to vote in the 19th Amendment, and we can take it away. This sentiment that like it was just handed to the suffragettes, like they went to jail.
History.
They went on hunger strikes.
You're not shocked when you say that.
I know, right? I know.
Yes, but they're rewriting history.
Jeez, like, what is happening? I am so, like, you always have to stay on your toes. I am less nervous about the outcome of the election than I was maybe like a month ago. I'm more nervous now about what's going to happen after. Like, with these people, like, I mean, what's going to happen?
Well, we're gonna have a revolution.
Yes, we're gonna.
We're down here from the South, and we're like Second Amendment people, and we're gonna.
Hey, I'm from the South, and we're not all like that. So don't let that lady. She's not gonna make me look bad. I'm still repping for Georgia. We have some sane people, but we got a lot of not sane people too. Yeah, a revolution. Thank God he has Mike Pence, even though, again, I disagree with him on pretty much everything. But thank goodness he had enough sense to be like, don't say that. Like, but that's what his running mate says. His running mate already telling people, you have to watch out for voter fraud. You need to go to these places. Well, I'm only going to lose if they steal the election. So you need to go and watch. Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other favorite Donald Trump quote this week, though, actually is, "If I lose, this is going to be the biggest waste of my time and money ever." Like, Like, actually, I don't think that's true. Number one, and number two, like, maybe you should have thought of that before you
Yeah.
I mean, he'd made the comment before about he could be the only person in history to run for the president and make a profit off of it. So I don't know if he could say that it'd be a waste of his money. I mean, he's destroyed his apprentice brand.
Yes.
You know, I think the real estate's always just going to be real estate.
Except some of it got slammed by the hurricane. Darn shucks.
Well, I mean, he's going to file insurance claims, and you know, this is a guy who made a profit off of 9/11. So, you know, there's no stone unturned here. So
I think he's just going to take it. He's going to have his little Trump TV and keep going with the conservative media. And we will just continue to have people who think of, and it'll be for her. It'll be, oh my God, sexism. I mean, it didn't even exist before we had Hillary. And I mean, now she's just made it so much worse. Why is she so divisive? She always saying the wrong thing. I mean, yeah.
That's a decent prediction.
I feel
that's the direction that it'll go.
That's what's going to happen.
There was no sexism before Hillary.
But that's only going to happen if everybody gets out and votes. This election is not over, and I think complacency is like our biggest problem right now.
We still have to get out and vote. Enthusiasm among the Democrats has been rising, though. Oh, and they showed a video yesterday. Early voting started yesterday, so go out and vote. But they showed a video of people in Cleveland yesterday, like literally marching to the polls. All I saw was Hillary signs. So of course Cleveland's going to vote for Hillary. Yes. But,
and former state rep Connie Pillich actually camped out in front of the Hamilton County Board of Elections to be the first person to vote for Hillary in Hamilton County. So there is definite enthusiasm. We'll put in the show notes how to early vote because early vote did start yesterday.
MyOhioVote.com will give you a way to find your local Board of Elections office in your county. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so in our little timeline here, the time machine moves forward. We haven't even talked about this week's debate.
Oh my God.
Most of which was just reenactments of sexism.
Yes.
You know, everybody's seen now the weird picture of Donald Trump like humping the stool, which we don't know what that was.
Was he humping the stool?
He's making a face like he's humping a stool.
What is wrong?
And standing beside her. The point about the second debate, I think, was really important. Is there was a lot of back and forth screaming.
Yes.
You know, on a previous podcast, I referred to the first Hillary versus Trump debate as an MMA cage match.
Yes.
This to me was like a scene out of Mad Max. Yes. I mean, if an MMA cage match has rules, this was like no rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was disturbing to watch.
Well, the moderators, I can speak today, at least tried this time.
They did, and they held Trump to several points. I mean, Anderson Cooper's first question to Donald Trump was to call him out for, you know, isn't what you're describing sexual assault, and did you sexually assault women?
I'm so glad he has him on record saying, no, I didn't do that.
Right.
I'm so happy.
Because now we have allegations from women who have said, yes, this did happen. So Trump has said that he did this. And the women said that he did this. In a courtroom, that would be enough for a conviction.
Yes. But now he's saying he didn't do it. He just
in a courtroom, it would still be enough for a conviction.
Actually, unfortunately, no, not in our country, because the rape culture which Donald Trump is perpetrating.
In a courtroom, it should be enough for a conviction.
Actually, I think my favorite thing I've seen on social media is that Donald Trump is your rapist, and Mike Pence is every single judge that got your rapist off.
That's exactly
and that really is that ticket. It really is.
That's them.
Right. So the important parts of the debate, other than the exploration of the sexual assault here, was there's a lot of other very serious issues going on in the world.
Yeah.
You know, we had a naval ship in Yemen have rockets fired on it twice this week, and that wasn't discussed in the debate. The first series of rockets happened before then. So we're busy talking about who Donald Trump groped and how he got Billy Bush fired, and we're not talking about actual serious issues.
Yeah.
And of the real discussion, there was very little that was domestic policy. So much of it has focused on Iran, on Putin, on North Korea.
We haven't talked about climate change at all.
No.
No.
Abortion rights did come up. Hillary, she's going to get her, that's what she said this week. She referred to a Supreme Court that will stick with Roe versus Wade and a woman's right to choose, emphasizing the importance of filling Scalia's seat on the Supreme Court and maintaining the right of law in terms of abortion rights.
Yes.
So that was very good.
Yes.
But otherwise, there would be issues that I'd love to see them discuss. But the entire, the entire dialogue is monopolized by Mr. Monopoly.
Yeah.
Well, and
it was nothing. I was like, many people, I learned nothing from this debate.
Yeah. Well, and even when they tried with some of the questions, Hillary would answer the question, and then Donald Trump would take it smack into the mud.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess, he referred to it the other day that the rest of his campaign is going to have a scorched earth mentality.
He called her the devil and said she had extreme hate
in her heart. Yeah.
Like, what?
If you didn't watch, you should really go back and watch that one little piece of the debate, because it was a town hall style. If you didn't watch it, so the people on the stage were quote unquote undecided voters. Like, I don't know how you're an undecided voter at this point. I don't understand you, but okay. So, there were like 20 or something undecided voters on the stage with them. And every single time Donald Trump said something ridiculous, you had to look back at the crowd behind him, because when Donald Trump called Hillary Clinton the devil, there was this blonde, I think it was blonde, white woman behind him when he did it. And she was like, what? Like, you could just see in her eyes, like, and then like when there was an African-American man that asked Donald Trump about, what would you do for the African-American community? And of course, Donald Trump went immediately into, you guys all live in hell and I'm going to fix it. And
his question didn't even mention African-American.
No, it didn't.
It just said, are you going to be a good president to all the people? But yes, he immediately went to inner cities because all black people
He said like inner cities over a dozen times in that answer. It was like, dude, it was just a question about, are you going to be a nice guy?
Yeah, exactly.
and the guy who asked the question about halfway through is like side-eyeing so hard Donald Trump. And like somebody screenshotted that with, I don't think he's an undecided voter anymore. So if they came in undecided and asked a question and Donald Trump totally sidestepped it, then they were probably not an undecided voter any longer.
Exactly.
Go Trump.
It was, Oh, and oh my God, I love that people took his Muslims report stuff and took it to Twitter and started just, oh my God, it was hilarious, because he was like, there was a Muslim woman asked a question about, I forgot her.
It was about Islamophobia. How would what's Islamophobia?
And he was like, oh, Muslims need to report stuff. And then I think the tweet of the night was a Muslim professor from New York saying, I like to report there's a crazy man stalking a woman on stage in St. Louis.
Yes.
It was something like that. I didn't get it verbatim, but it was hilarious. And then other people just started tweeting really hilarious things.
Only Donald Trump, well, not probably only Donald Trump. I wish I lived in the world where only Donald Trump, but like, the question was, how do you fight against Islamophobia when you're perpetrating Islamophobia? Really was the question.
Exactly.
Not quite said like that. And he turned it around to, well, if Muslims just reported stuff that they saw, there wouldn't be Islamophobia anymore. Was basically his answer. Like turning why Islamophobia exists in the United States around, like, well, it's your fault. People hate you.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not. It's Donald Trump's fault because he perpetrates this shit every single day.
Yeah.
And he lied his way through it. He talked about how people were saying they saw bombs in the San Bernardino guy's apartment before, and that's been debunked like 14 times. And Muslims do report things, just like everybody else reports shit that happens in their neighborhood.
Exactly.
We want to be safe. We want to live in safe places. Everyone reports stuff.
Yeah.
It's not because they don't report stuff. So, there was so much wrong in that debate.
Yes, there was. Okay, and so then since then, we've already touched upon the women who've come forward. I'm sure if you're watching the news, you've heard all about that. And so then we can fast forward even further to today. Trump is in Ohio.
Watch out, ladies. We should put out a public service announcement. Oh, can we do the like sexual predator alerts like they do when like somebody moves into your neighborhood?
That would be a decent postcard campaign because you actually do. I
Yes.
mean, in our neighborhood, we get those postcards, and it's
Yeah.
like, here's the picture of the guy, and here's his address.
I've gotten one before.
Oh, I'm making that sign for the
For the
rally later. Okay, so where
That's
is Trump
hilarious.
going to be here in Ohio?
So today, Trump is going to be in Columbus and Cincinnati. So Northern Ohio, you're in the clear. So we will be outside the Renaissance Hotel in downtown Columbus at 4:00 today. Some private event there, probably a fundraiser. I don't know who gives them money anymore.
Yeah.
And then he's going to go from Columbus to Cincinnati, and he's got a rally at the U.S. Bank Arena at 7:30. Randy's going to head down there.
I'll be going down there around 5, and I'm going to meet up with Planned Parenthood at their office. So I'll be going with some of our volunteers, with some of their volunteers, and we'll be out there from 6 to 7 with our signs and just hopefully getting a lot of traffic.
So what time are you meeting at the Planned Parenthood office?
We're meeting there at 5:30.
Okay.
We're meeting there at 5, and we're going to make signs, and then we'll probably leave the office around 5:30, 5:45 to go there.
So this is the Planned Parenthood office in Cincinnati. It's 2314 Auburn Avenue, Cincinnati, Ohio 45219.
And if you can't meet people there, you can just meet people U.S. Bank Arena.
Yeah, you can just meet us at the arena.
Yep.
Right. Okay, you want to sing us out?
Let's get it on. Okay, so we're still doing phone banks. Me and Annie are working today to send out an updated recruitment email. So you guys will have all of the events. You can sign up to phone bank. You can sign up to write postcards. You can sign up to do data entry. If you can't come into the office, you can do it from home, although we prefer you come in the office. But we have many, many options. So look out for that, and you'll be able to sign up for events. Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Dayton, Toledo, Akron. We'll be doing them all over.
Woohoo. And also vote.
Yes,
Vote.
Early voting has begun. Get out there and vote so you'll be free on election day.
Yes. So it's only during the week until October 29th, and then Saturday, October 29th, they start weekends. So that's that weekend, and the weekend before election will also be open. And also, folks in Cleveland, we're actually working with our friends at Preterm and New Voices and Planned Parenthood up in Cleveland to actually do a march like they did yesterday.
Okay, cool.
On October 29th. So Saturday, October 29th, we will be marching from, and they haven't decided a location, somewhere around
in Cleveland State.
Yeah, around
marching
Cleveland
to
State.
the Board of Elections.
Yes.
Important to note, for Cuyahoga County voters only.
Yes.
If you're from Akron, you won't be able to vote in Cleveland. You have to vote in South.
But you can still come and march, but you can't vote.
Yes. Look for information on that event on our Facebook page. And we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.